Hello, welcome to the Creators Guild podcast. I'm Chris Howell, and with me,
Jared Lovelady.
and we are here to talk about all things creative. And with me today, in our somehow matching attire, is
Liz Verity. We decided today was Red Day.
I know, right? Today's Wear Red Day for whatever reason. For those listening, we decided it's Christmas again. So, so you are here to do another Learning with Liz.
I am, yes. But before we get into that, you guys always seem to ask me how I'm doing, and I'm curious, how is book 3 coming?
Well,
Book 3.
book 3.
Book
So-
3 has some unfortunate... Well, Book 2 had some unfortunate side effects on Book 3.
Yeah,
That are
there's
going to
usually
create a
do.
lot of rewrites.
there.
And,
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah, well, there are characters in Book 2 that when we had written part of Book 3 already, and now there are characters in Book 2 that weren't in Book 2 when we started writing Book 3,
Yeah.
and so we're having to retcon them in, I guess. It's not really retconning because it hasn't
Yeah.
been put out there yet, but yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of work when you just shift one little thing and then it just affects everything.
Yeah. Well, we brought some of the characters into book 2. Some of them were gonna go away. Some of them were gonna be like come up later.
Mm-hmm.
We pulled them in, and now like there's some specific chapters that we have written out that we're like, all the events of this chapter can stay, like, exist as they are, except now we have to add
There's just one little...
these specific characters. They have to be in this chapter now, like with these other characters.
They don't have to
Yeah.
do anything. They don't have to be prolific, but they have to be there.
Yeah, they just
Yeah.
have to be present. It would be like, right, if you wrote a story about a guy who went on a walk to, figure out what he wanted to do with his life, and then you rewrote the story and wrote it where he went on a walk with his dog,
Oh, yes.
and he went through the park, and then you wrote the next chapter and you never mentioned the dog again. And like nothing. He didn't throw a stick, he didn't hold the leash, he didn't anything.
Yes.
Then you got to the end of the story and then you're like, crap,
We need a dog.
I forgot about the dog.
Believe it or not, I've actually read a story. I had an author write a story, and it had this dog in it and all this kind of stuff. And like, I don't know, a quarter of the way in, the dog just kind of disappeared. And we got to the end, and I never heard it again. I was like, "What happened to the dog?" I'm like, "What dog?" I was like, "The dog at the beginning." Like, oh, so she had to go back through him and put him in.
Yeah.
I was like, "You kind of forgot about him."
He contracted rabies around chapter 2.
Yeah.
And it was sad for me when he had to put him down. So I just left that out.
It just didn't mention that he died. It's fine, or ran away or whatever. But yeah.
Yeah.
Well, fun. Yeah, I know that's frustrating and not always the best thing in the world, but it's part of rewriting.
Yeah.
But it is like I think we talked about it before. I think we might have talked about it in an episode with you, where we shifted the prologue for book 3
Mhm.
became the epilogue for book 2.
Oh, yes.
And the epilogue for book 3 is now, or the epilogue for book 2 is now chapters in book 3.
Yeah.
And those chapters now lead up to, we did a writers guild group where we read a chapter,
Yes.
and that chapter we read in the writers guild is directly plays off what was the epilogue for book 2.
Okay.
So now it's broken out, and it's a lot of words.
Yes.
So now that's broken out into chapters that lead up to that other chapter. It's still difficult because like it's a whole other character now, and
Yes.
different perspectives. We're following other people, but
Yeah. It's part of the challenges of it is having to shift that. It's like if you could just plan it perfectly the first time, you wouldn't have to worry about this.
I know, right?
Well, we have this editor that has ideas.
No, darn.
Yeah.
Don't you hate editors and their ideas?
Somebody who's like, you have to do this gooder, and it messes us up.
Yeah, I get that. I've had a few people give me that feedback. I rather enjoy giving it though,
Yeah.
because I don't have to fix it.
Yeah. As always, the biggest thing is just time.
Yes, always. Yep. As long as you keep making progress, that's really the big thing.
Yeah.
So,
The song, if I could catch time in a bottle,
mm-hmm.
I could just do that.
Work great.
Yeah. Be able to do all the things, but I don't have any magic yet. No magic powers yet.
No, not yet.
Oh, wow.
But speaking of feedback, today I thought it might be fun to talk about it a little bit, specifically writers' feedback.
Mhm.
In like multiple facets. I mean, as writers, if you're going to be part of the writing community, eventually you're going to be asked to read something and give your feedback on it.
Yes.
And you are definitely going to want feedback from other people on your stuff. And that can be something that's kind of hard to do. Some people don't know how to look at something and give feedback that's constructive. And some people don't know how to take feedback or what to do with it when they get it back. So I thought it might be fun, seems though we have 3 authors in the room, to kind of discuss like how that works for us and what we like and don't like. And
I'm going to get comfortable for this one.
Yeah. Oh dear.
I have opinions.
Must have a lot to say. Okay. So let's start with
You lead us. You lead us down where we're going here.
okay. Let's start with giving feedback. So when, someone comes, say, to a writer's group and they give something and say, hey, I'd like some feedback. What kind of things do you guys look for to comment on that you think will help them? Or do you have any tips on how to do that?
I think one of probably the most important things to understand and realize is what kind of feedback they're wanting.
Yes.
And Chris has heard me gripe about this, and I've, it's gotten to the point where I've almost stopped going to hot seats with our group. If I want content feedback, don't give me grammatical feedback
Yes.
or, stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's very important to know the kind of feedback that people are wanting. When we go to those, we say we want content feedback. We want to know about, is there a continuity issue? Is there a clarity issue? Is there not this word in this particular whatever,
Yeah. You repeat this word 3 times, or
Yeah.
you need a comma here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think some of the times, like hearing that this sounds repetitive to me,
Yeah.
or reading this section, I got confused because of X, Y, or Z.
Mm-hmm.
Like those are important things to know about. Those are important things to the last hot seat we did. We had. I thought the discussion with that one went pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There were a few little pieces, and it was a pretty long section.
It was like what? You gave us like 25 pages.
25 pages. Yeah, it was right around 7,000 words.
Yeah, it was a long one.
So we should probably talk as a guild, like how long should those be when we do our hot seats.
Generally, I think we shoot for 4,000 words, but sometimes, if it's a little bit longer, if you need to get the full story, like we don't necessarily say no.
Yeah. But so I thought it went fairly well. But I agree with Jared. I think the first thing, if someone gives me something to read and asks for my feedback, I want to fully understand, well, what are you looking for?
Yes.
When you say you want feedback, what kind of feedback are you looking for? Because, I mean, this isn't the only thing, but there are times when someone says they want feedback, what they're really looking for is validation.
Yes.
They don't
Absolutely.
actually want feedback. They want to hear that their story is good and they should keep writing.
Yeah. They want the encouragement.
Yes.
Yes.
And I'm like, and that's fine if they want that. But you gotta understand that maybe that's what they're asking for.
Yes. Yeah. One of the things I usually ask, like if it's a one-on-one thing or a really small group where I feel comfortable asking them, I'll usually ask, what is your plan for this writing? Because if it's, I want to traditionally publish it versus I want to independently publish it versus I just want this so my grandkids can read it or I just enjoy writing, like their purpose in it kind of tells me what they're maybe looking for.
Yeah.
Because if they want to be, say, traditionally published, then they're going to need to hear the hard truth because that's what they're going to get in the industry. But if they're writing it just so their grandkids can read it, then I'm just going to be looking for like clarity stuff or like, hey, you might have missed this section, you know, what happened here kind of thing. And it's going to be a little different, but then you also know is they're just looking something to share with their family. So it is more of the validation of like, yeah, you're doing good, you're telling your story, keep going kind of thing. So yeah, if you kind of know their purpose in it, you can gauge that a little bit.
Yeah. In general for me, like even if someone just generically says, hey, I'm looking for some feedback on this and I don't have the opportunity to like find out, well, what exactly are you looking for? The only time, like I will rarely ever or will rarely give like grammar error
Yeah.
stuff, like, oh, you spelled this wrong, there should be a comma here, there should be, you missed a period here, you missed, this verb usage, you need to change tenses. Unless it's something that I'm like, hey, you have this sentence and this would be a better sentence, like this sentence might, or paragraph, it will it will change the meaning of what you're trying to convey if you change these tenses of these words and do a grammar style kind of like this.
Yeah.
It will change the meaning and be potentially more impactful. Like if it's not that, I'm like, you're going to figure out, hopefully you're going to figure out if you have grammar errors and you spell things wrong or whatnot.
Yes.
Hopefully you're going through and figuring that out.
Yeah, I generally stay away from the line editing as well, like all the grammar and stuff. The only exception is like if I see something being done over and over and over again and it's not necessarily grammar, but it's a prose problem. So like I'm trying to think if someone says in the narration she heard a dog bark and then later she heard the vehicle screech and she heard the door open, like you can drop the she heard because we're in her point of view, you can just say the dog barked, whatever. If I see that structure happening a lot, that's not something that like maybe a grammar person might catch. So like prose wise I'll do little things like that, but yeah, most of the time I steer clear of that. Basically because a lot of the time it just depends on what you're going to do and then you have to be consistent with how you do it. Like obviously a typo is a typo, but like sentence structure, if you want long-winded sentences all the time, that's part of your writing style, then I'm not going to try and correct that. That's not my favorite thing to do.
Yeah, there've been times where I've been like, hey, you have a bunch of short choppy sentences.
Yeah.
And if you just combine them together into one sentence, or two, combine it into two sentences. Now it flows nicely into where you're telling me a story, not giving me a history log of events that happened.
Yeah. Makes sense. Okay. So we talked about things to kind of ask for, like, what are you wanting out of it? And, you know, what kind of feedback are you looking for? What kind of things do you look for when you're reading it to like comment on? So not grammar, but like what other things?
You got any thoughts here?
Well, I mean, you're always looking for continuity,
Yes.
making sure that if the mom walks in the room in this scene, that it's still a mom, three
Yes.
pages from now,
Exactly.
and not the aunt or whatever. It really depends on how well you know the writer, how well you know, how well you understand what you're reading.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can get down to, well, this character shouldn't be doing this because it's not in their personality. You know,
Yeah.
you can get into things like that. I mean, there's all kinds of things you can look for.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tend to look for, I guess, a couple things that I tend to look for is the are they changing the story in a way that pushes my engagement out? What I mean by that is there was David in our speculative fiction group.
Mm-hmm.
He had a story, and it was very it's like a dark murder story, you know.
Yeah.
And it went into some pretty dark area, and he said, like, well, when he wrote it, he felt like it needed to be written, but he tried to like rush through writing it because he didn't want to dwell in that chapter too long.
Yeah.
You know, it's pretty heavy
Yeah.
stuff. But there were elements of, like, he went through it so quickly that I'm like, well, these characters whose perspective you're writing from, and they're having dialogue back and forth, I don't care about them at this point at all. Mm-hmm. Even though, like, they're involved in this heinous criminal activity that I'm like, oh, I don't like these guys. But other than just being like, I don't like them because of the actions because of what they're involved in, I don't care about them.
Mm-hmm.
And so it kicks me out of the story a little bit, and lets even though I know the events of what's going on, I kind of brush over, and I don't feel like I'm pulled in and engaged.
Yeah.
So my feedback was, who are these men? We get things from them through their dialogue. Well, two guys doing, you know, in this scenario, doing this activity, you know, they're involved in murder and disposing of bodies and stuff like that. And I'm like, what they're involved in, they're talking back and forth, and we just get like little snippets of pieces of information. We don't really get any narration about them, but we don't pick up on anything else about them in their dialogue.
Yeah.
So now I feel disconnected from them. This bad thing happened, but other than the fact that it was bad and they were involved in it, I don't care. Are they going to be around in the story? So not having any of that from them, I can't get into their heads. I can't get into who they are. I can't get into anything deeper in this scene with them.
Yeah. So trying to look for engaging characters and make sure that they're there, because the very worst thing you can have is a character that makes your reader apathetic towards them. Like, you either want your readers to hate your characters or to love your characters. Like, you want that strong emotion because that means that they're connecting in some way with them. Yeah. So if someone's saying, hey, I don't care about this one, or I'm apathetic towards them, then that's a key that, like, maybe you should work on that character, build them up a little bit. So,
well, it kind of read like a little bit more detail than what I would read in, here's the events that happened from a newspaper article.
Yeah.
You know, and we had it recorded, and here's what their conversation. You know, we had in the video of us, the special undercover agents caught this video, and we're writing about it in a newspaper, so we're telling you what happened
Mhm.
in the video, including their dialogue.
Yeah.
I'm like, but that's not what you're not telling me a news story. So don't give me a news story, because when I read something that just reads like a news story, I'm like,
Yeah.
well, that was bad. And then I move on.
Yeah. So engaging characters, a setting to kind of ground you in so you're not in a blank room kind of thing. Yeah, those are good things. And then Jared mentioned character arcs, which it's more of you're saying if a character is acting the way that they're supposed to or not. And that's part of like who you built them up as. So if your reader feels like
Yeah.
they know them, then they're going to be like, they wouldn't do that because of whatever. And to me, like that part is the important part of saying like, okay, the character wouldn't do this, or I don't like that the character does this or whatever. But I always try to give the why as well of being like, this doesn't make sense because of this, this, and this happening. I would have thought they would have acted this way or something like that. So that the person getting the feedback from me is going to look at it and be like, okay, this is where she's coming from. The problem is she misunderstood this event earlier, and if I change that, then this will make sense because this is really how their personality is or whatever. So it's important to always give that why as well, I feel like, or at least I try to give it that way. They know where I'm coming from, and it's not just a I don't like this person or this event isn't logical. Like I always try to make sure to say this is why I don't think that this is going to work this way. That way, if I'm misunderstanding it, then the author can look at it and be like, yeah, but you're not understanding what's going on because of this up here. So I'll fix that and then I'll fix this, because they have the big picture.
Yeah.
So they know it a little bit better. So yeah, so characters, setting, illogical or logical points of the plot kind of thing. Do you guys like, I guess it probably depends on who you're critiquing, but do you try to take it any deeper than that? Do you guys ever look at like theme or the lesson learned by the character or anything like that?
I think for me, it depends on like the level of writing that's been given to me.
Very true. Yes.
And that's a difficult one. That's a difficult one to go down because before you can get into, I think those deeper levels at a fundamental level, trying to be like, well, you're.
Yeah,
It's hard to
get it.
It's hard to get past the writing, the level of like, who's your target audience? Who are you trying to write to?
Yes.
Are you trying to write to like, I know that like they say, what's the reading level you should write to is
8th grade, I believe.
grade, something like that.
Yeah.
But I'm like, there is a lot of writing that is out there where I'm like, well, who are you trying to write this to?
Mm-hmm.
Because from how you have this written, we need to like fix this a lot before
Yes.
before we can get into deeper things of like, what's your theme? How does this theme carry through the whole story? And
Yes. Yeah. And that is kind of the hard part is you have to look at like if the person you're critiquing doesn't quite have like plot points figured out or doesn't describe setting or whatever, you definitely want to address that first before you go to the deeper level of everything happening under the surface kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. What about you, Jared?
I've not done a lot of critique work, but it, what Chris was saying, it does go to the little bit that I have done for people. It has, and maybe it's because we generally work with amateurs and
Yeah. We're all trying to aspire.
yeah. But the one that sticks out in my head, it was very much because I knew that it was written for like high school or above
Yeah.
type people. It was the target audience. It was like, we need to work on basics.
Yes.
Because this is written to a 5th grade level, and it's not going to challenge your reader
Yeah.
enough to engage them. And so, that is something you definitely have to be aware of and look for, is who are you writing to? Let's get it to the level that it's going to engage them, and them, that way your reader doesn't feel like they're reading, for the 5th grade scholastic.
Yeah. They're being talked down to, basically. Yeah. That makes sense. That's a good question to ask before, when we were talking about asking, what kind of feedback do you want? Also say, okay, who do you plan on reading this? Because that does help judge quite a bit of what you need to kind of look for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of, I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, I think this whole line of discussion is not fair, Liz.
Why is that?
She's like, wait a minute, I'm going to ask questions today.
Yeah, I get to
tell
be
me
in
about the
answers.
critiques you have. And it's like, wait a minute, I can't say this because, what if I read something and I'm like, I read this person's stuff and I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, no, we're talking very basic here. It's not about anybody in particular. Okay, well, moving off of specifically what you look for, do you guys think about how you word your feedback, the tone you give your feedback in, and stuff like that?
I do, definitely.
And how so? Like, what do you?
Well, because generally, it's the, Tom Cruise asking Jack Nicholson, give me the truth. And then Jack Nicholson's like, you can't handle the truth.
Yes.
So there's a lot of trying to say things diplomatically. And sometimes that can be a challenge from a critique perspective, thinking of like, do the love sandwich of this is really good.
Yeah.
You need to fix this, but this is really good over here too. And I'm like, but my emphasis is you need to fix this. Like,
Yeah.
that's the part you need to be focused on, is you need to fix this.
Yeah, that's something I really struggle with because I'm a very blunt person and I'm an editor. So, like, people come to me for feedback and then I'm like, okay, I have to say things not in an offensive way, but I'm very much let's just get to the crux of it. Like, look, this is what you need to do to make it better. Like, if I didn't comment on it, then it was great. But if I comment on it, it's because there's something you can do better. And, that, like, at first, before I was actually an editor, I was just giving critique and stuff. People are like, well, you just, like, I don't know, you're just mean. And I'm like, I'm not trying to be mean. So, like, I had to learn, like, you have to highlight those good things as well. But then it is also in the tone of how you say it. And I've learned to word a lot of things and in my opinion, or to me it seems, or it's because it is when you give feedback, even as an editor, like when I'm hired to give feedback, it is my opinion. I mean, I'm not stating fact or truth. I'm just showing my perspective and hoping that it helps the author be able to make a better story or see a different perspective that maybe they missed. So it is my opinion. And so I find by saying it that way, people are more receptive of it because they don't feel like it's an attack on them. It's like, this is my opinion of what I see. What do you think? Or you're the author, do what you think is best, kind of thing. Now, like, do I sometimes still think I'm right and they're wrong? Yes, but I don't say it that way.
Yeah.
And there's been a lot of times where I say one thing and then they come back at it with another way that I didn't even think about that is way better than what I suggested. So it's not like I'm always right and they're always wrong or any vice versa. But yeah, I've learned to really try and always be like, for me, in my opinion, what this looks like. That way it doesn't come across as accusatory. because the last thing you want to do in your comments is say, you wrote this sentence wrong, you made this character do something, because it's very accusatory, and you don't want to do that because it's hard to get feedback on something you love and you put a lot of time and effort into. So
I think an important part to remember is if somebody comes to you with wanting critique, or if I go to, say, you, Liz, and I'm wanting critique or editing or whatever, make it constructive.
Yes, exactly.
You know, maybe I wrote a horrible chapter. It happens, or horrible paragraphs within a chapter, or whatever. You know, if there's something bad, that's fine. And for me as a writer coming to someone wanting critique, I have no problem with someone telling me, okay, this wasn't good, this part wasn't good, but either tell me why it wasn't good, or how I can make it better. Whether that's just suggestions, or say this part isn't good, it just doesn't need to be there. Okay.
Yeah.
But make it, because we're all in a process, and we're all trying to put out what we love, and what we want is what we want other people to love. And so if there's no upside to that, when you do a critique, you can go to somebody and say, okay, well, your grammar is terrible, and your sentence structure is horrible, but your dialogue's good. No, or whatever.
Yeah.
If you're not coming at it creatively and constructively, then there's really no point, because then they're not getting anything out of it. They're going to shut down.
Yes.
And the same on the reverse side, as a writer, find ways to take the critique creatively and constructively. Don't just take it as, oh, they're just shooting holes in everything. Find ways to pick out, okay, so this chapter's bad, but still need this chapter because it gets us to the next chapter, or whatever. Find on both sides, think constructively, I think is important.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, is like everything that you give should be to help the person advance. So if it's something negative, say, you don't want to just say, I hate this character. You want to say, this character feels flat because of yada, yada, yada. You might fix it by doing this or whatever. And so it helps them move forward with it, and not just a down negative thing. But like what I like to tell people is that if you're getting feedback from somebody that is criticism, like constructive criticism, it's because they believe in what you're doing, and that they think you can do better, but they know that you're really good at it. And that's why they're giving this to you. Because I know I've had some where, it was a long time ago, but I've had one where I read it and I was like, I don't believe in this person as a writer. Like, I don't think that they can write a story that's going to work. And not at the skill level they are. So it's like, I feel like you need to go and learn a little bit more about writing, read some more books, kind of thing. You can get there, but you're not that level yet. So there really wasn't anything I could say to really help that story, because they needed to work on their skills themselves. But like, if I give feedback, like, it's because I believe you can do this, kind of thing. And that's really what it is most of the time when we give feedback to other writers. It's that, okay, like, I know you can do this. Let me help you see how you can do it better, kind of thing, just from my perspective. So, but yeah, so I think constructive criticism is really the big part. You don't just say negative, but make sure you give them a way to use that in the future. And it's the same thing with positive things. Like, if you tell them you're really good at dialogue, then they know they're doing that well. They keep doing it the way they're doing it. They know that they've got that, kind of thing. So that's also helpful to know that, so that you don't change it and then be like, what did you do? Like, you had it awesome and now it's not so great. And so I think that's what you always, when you give feedback, you want to make sure this is going to help the person in the future.
Well, even with that, even if say your part of your feedback is your dialogue is really good. Well, your dialogue is really good because
Yeah. Always why.
yeah, exactly. Always put that why in there so that from the future perspective, if you are going to change up some dialogue, or maybe you come across different points of dialogue where you write new stuff and then you're like, well, this is a different character, this is a different perspective, so the dialogue's going to be different. But I've received feedback that previous dialogue was really good because of X, Y, or Z.
Mm-hmm.
So what aspects of that do I need to carry over into this dialogue that's intentionally, it's intended to be different,
Yeah.
but it still needs to be good. So how do I apply maybe not the same technique, but at least the same principle to be able to get good dialogue or continue with good dialogue?
Yeah. That's a great, yeah. Always tell why.
Yeah.
Because that is what, when writers ask for feedback, that's what we want, is we want to know how to improve. Otherwise we just put it out there and say it's perfect. So, which, go ahead.
I immediately, while you were talking, there's so many examples that fall, or so many things that fall back to Rick and Morty episodes. I'm not wearing my Mr. Meeseeks shirt today, but there's an episode, it's the Purge episode. And Rick and Morty go to this other universe where there's a planet where it's a purge planet, and they get trapped on the planet, but they're like, the people are like, essentially, they're like Amish people. So it's a whole Amish planet, but also they murder each other one night out of the year.
Fun.
And they happen to be there on the purge night. Well, they go to into this guy's house, and they need a high point, and he lives in a lighthouse because they got to get on top of the lighthouse and send a beacon back to their home, back to their universe, so they can escape.
Okay.
Well, the guy's like, I don't participate in the purge. And he's like, I'll let you use my lighthouse if you come in and you listen to my story. And Rick's like, great, Morty, listen to his story. I'm going to go up and send this signal. So then the guy sits and he's got a screenplay. And he's reading his screenplay to Morty. And then he gets done and he's like, all right, well, what did you think? And Morty's like, yeah, it was good. That's my feedback. I want to hear more. It was all good. He's like, well, that doesn't sound very genuine. Sounds like maybe like basically a cop out kind of thing. And,
Yeah.
and he's like, I can take it. You just tell me what needs to be done. I want to improve my writing. So Morty's like, well, I think you started, because at the beginning he's like, he reads something, he reads the beginning, and then he's like, go back 3 weeks earlier. And Morty's like, well, I think, if you're going to start a story, you should begin it where it begins and not do a flashback thing. And I think that would make it better. And then the guy's like, what? Well, you just come in here and you crap all over my story. Take your contraptions down and get out of my lighthouse. And he's like, what are you talking about? And he's like, yeah, you just come in here and you think you can crap all over people's writing, and And Rick's like, Morty, what did you say to him? And he's like, nothing. You made me sit there and listen to the story. And the guy's like, made you? You told me it was good. It's like, turns into this whole big thing, and
Yes.
just blows completely out of proportion. I'm like, but that's exactly what happens. I want your feedback. Yeah, that was good. That definitely good.
Yeah.
Like, no, what's your actual feedback? Well, I think you should change this. And like, I'm going to shoot you in the face.
Yes. It's easy to get defensive. Speaking of which, let's switch to receiving feedback. What is your guys' experience or tactics or view of getting feedback back from other writers? We'll stick with writers right now, not readers.
I think one of the thoughts I had in general, giving feedback, receiving feedback, is that the point of giving feedback, the point of receiving feedback is not to be like, Liz, you wrote this story. Well, I'm going to tell you about how crappy you are.
Oh, yes.
You know, the point is to say, hey, you asked for my feedback. I'm going to partner with you in this writing relationship for this portion of it.
Yeah.
And the problem isn't you. The problem is elements of this story that
Yeah.
should be fixed. Like, in no way, whether you are the writer or the critiquer, it's to remember that, with any of the feedback being given, any of the communication being given, it is never, hey, you're horrible. Even if it's, this story is horrible.
You don't
know.
you don't go for the ad hominem?
Yeah. It's as a critiquer, like you were saying earlier, you wrote this bad. You did this wrong. You did this.
Yeah.
It should be, this story has elemental problems with it, or this story has issues with X, Y, or Z.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like to help you fix those problems with the story.
Yes.
I have no
Not
desire
with you.
whatsoever to fix anything about you. I want to help you fix this story.
Yes.
And so that's the approach from a writer or a critiquer that should be taken.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me, the one, going back to asking for critique, receiving critiques, the biggest challenge that I have with getting critiques, even if someone was like, this is garbage, I hated the whole thing, I'm like, okay, well, I am never like, you hate me.
Yeah.
Like,
It's not
ever.
a personal attack.
Yeah, I know, like, you're suddenly not my friend because you hated this story.
Mm-hmm.
You hated this writing. But I'm like, I want to know, okay, you hated it. Why? Again, the why. Tell me what you hated about it.
Mm-hmm.
Give me specifics. As much, as much specificity as you can provide. Tell me why you hated it or why you liked it.
Yeah.
And then from a receiving perspective, it's a difficult thing to not be like, well, thank you for the critique, but I don't need you. I don't want pointed out where I spelled things wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I need to know, is this a good story? I need to know, does it flow? Does it engage you? Are there parts that kick you out of the story and where I lose engagement?
Yeah.
Are there parts that are too fast? Are there parts that are too slow? Are there characters that are flat? Are there characters that their personality changes unintentionally?
Yes.
Are there, those are the things I'm looking for. Are there, if there's a sentence that you don't like, is it just something that kicked you out? Or is it actually poorly written? Did I write this poorly and I need to change it?
Mm-hmm.
But it's hard to give feedback back to a critiquer to say, all the stuff you gave me, I'm not looking, you did not help me at all.
It's not what I was looking for. Yeah.
Like, all the time you spent reading it and making notes, and all the time I spent listening to you, did not help me in any way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the hard part, is because you can't really say that to them. You have to
No.
be like, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
But then that might not be the person you go to next time. You need a critique or something
Yeah.
like that. And some people do have a hard time seeing the big picture.
Yeah.
Like, they can, like, picking out the grammar stuff is what they do, or, that kind of stuff. So, but I feel like most of the time people like that know that. They know, they're like, yeah, I'm not good at critiques. I enjoy reading your story. I can point out a couple things, but, I'm not very good at it. But I'm here
Yeah.
to support you, and I love that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's great. But, yeah, there are some people who they can't do the big picture content editing or critiquing. And so, yeah, that's hard when they go through that and you're like, okay, well, thank you.
Yes.
Now I need, other feedback.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I get that. That is hard. But what about you? We already talked a little bit about some stuff. Do you have anything else about when you get a critique, like how you try to approach it, or?
The main thing to always remember is just not take it personally.
Yes, which can be hard.
Because in general, when someone's giving you a critique, they're trying to help you, and they're trying to critique your material. They're not trying to critique your lifestyle. Some are.
Yeah.
We've all come across those people.
Most aren't though.
But most aren't. And so try to take it in the context it's given.
Mhm.
And because if you can do that, if you can get past the tearing the band-aid off type of reaction to, I think that's a big part of it, a really big part of it.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes you kind of have to like get it and then just stop and pause and like be like, okay, I'm going to let this information sink in. And then when you don't react emotionally to it, you can go back and look at it objectively and work it in and stuff. But I've known some people where they're like, I get a critique and like I shut down for a little bit and I just need to process it and then I can come back and I can deal with it better. But there are some people that they have that emotional reaction and other people who have no problem with it. It's like, okay, great. You think that's wrong? Awesome. Like, why? Like, let's talk about it. So it definitely depends on the personality, but either one is okay as long as you make sure if you are the emotional one, you don't blow up in somebody's face when they give you that critique because they are, like you said, they're doing it to help you.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah. What about after you get a critique back? Like, how much of it do you use? Do you use any of it?
No, just
are you
throw it
okay
away.
with it? I feel like I don't. This person's wrong. This person's wrong. Throw it all away.
No, I think like together with our books, or we've done pretty well. I mean, you gave us a lot of detailed stuff from our
Yeah.
first book,
Fun.
including when you gave us a summary at the end, and it started with, "Hey, this like your writing style and everything is really good. Unfortunately, you don't have a story."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Thanks, Liz."
Yeah. That was one of my more blunt ones. Be like, okay.
But like we read through everything that you gave us like multiple times, and we even broke out and did a outline, like a full outline of our chapters and everything,
Oh, yeah.
with your critiques in it, to say, and it was called like the After Liz outline or something like that.
Yeah.
Thing. And when we went through all of your different points, there were some things where we were like, okay, well, she wanted this changed and this changed here, but if we change it, this messes up elements that are going to come up in the next book. And so if we change it here, we will have to change the trajectory, and the reader doesn't know about this yet, but that's okay. But if we change it here, it will fundamentally change things that you don't know about into the future.
Yeah.
And so we were like, slash that.
Yeah.
And then there were other things that we were like, well, her recommendation is to do X, Y, or Z. And there were other things that we were like, well, her opinion is that we should change this. We're like, but we don't think we should.
Yeah.
So we're like, so we appreciate that feedback. And we will consider this in the,
Yeah. And that's,
we appreciate your application. We'll keep it on file.
there you go.
It's kind of the approach that we took with some things, and then other things we were like, yeah, we need to change this.
Mm-hmm.
We can see this needs to be changed. That's going to require changing this up here and this down here, and I don't know. So fundamentally, the difference between the first round that we gave you and then what came out, like we changed a lot.
Yeah.
We added whole new chapters and took whole chapters out, and it still didn't fall in line with like everything.
Which is
A lot of
okay.
stuff that you gave us, but all of the information you gave us, we were like, this is very detailed. It's very specific, and all of it is potential things that could help us. Some of it are things that would potentially hinder us because we know what the story is in the future,
Yeah.
and you don't know the whole story.
Exactly.
So some of those things we can't adopt. And then again, some of the things were, well, we have a difference of opinion about certain aspects, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, other things were, well, this requires fundamental change.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the whole thing is I want people to understand is like you don't have to take everything everybody says and do it.
Yeah.
And if you do, you'll probably end up changing your story a million times because everybody's going to think differently.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's important to look at it because you are the author. You know the full scope of things and put it in perspective and be like, would this actually work? And sometimes it says yes, and sometimes it's a no, and either way is fine. But yeah, it is your story in the end.
Yeah.
So.
And it also gave us, there were spots where it's like, well, she thinks we should change this. Well, we can't change this because it's because of that. But maybe we could rework this a little bit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
To make it work better and without fundamentally changing it, but rework it so that it fits into, so that the story tells better.
Yeah, and that's another reason why it's good to say why, because like if say I wanted this person, should go this way, not that way, or whatever. And if that's all I say, and you're like, well, they can't go the other way because they have to go this way in order to meet this person. So obviously they have to go this way. But if I said this person should go this way instead of that way because earlier they were trying to get to here and to make more sense if they went this way, then okay, earlier if I change this, then this spot will work out. So it's kind of like, okay, like when you have the reason, you can find a different solution than just someone trying to prescribe a solution all the time.
Or like to that specific example of, you may realize, oh, wait a minute, I knew my character, they couldn't go this way, they had to go that way because of some other thing. And then you're like, I didn't actually write that in.
Yeah.
It's meant to be there. And then you read back through and you're like, oh, shoot. This thing of they needed to go the other direction, I left like a sentence out.
Yeah.
That would clarify, oh, they had to go this way.
Yes.
Even though their goal was over here, they had to go the other way. But you as the author were like, oh yeah, they have to go this way because, 45 years ago when the lightning struck the tree out front and the horseshoe, became magic and it did blah, blah, blah. It requires this. Like, yeah, but you didn't say that.
Yeah.
You know that. You
I
never
can't read
told
your
us
mind.
that.
Yeah.
We know about the tree. We know about the lightning. But we didn't know it made them go right at this intersection.
Yeah.
And that's why. Like, that. You left it out completely.
Yeah.
Like, oh, well, I better put that back in.
Yep, exactly.
But that's one of those things at our last hot seat, we spent a pretty good amount of time giving backstory.
Yes.
And giving clarifying stuff. This is one thing I think we see a lot. We see it in the Writers Guild Mentor Hour. We see it a lot in the hot seat sessions. Is like when I was trying to give insight into some of the, like, people would ask questions, be like, well, I'm not sure about this, or I'm not sure about that. And I'm like, anything I tried to give was tried to, well, here's something that's in another part of the story.
Yes.
But I just want you to understand why you didn't read it here, because it already
existed.
If you read the rest of it, you would already know that. So we don't want to put it here because you already know those pieces of the story.
Mm-hmm.
What I frequently observe is not people saying, well, there's another part of the story that has this or another piece that has that. It's, let me rationalize to you why I wrote it the way I wrote it.
Yes.
And I'm like, that gets into, in my mind, in that it's like, it's kind of a defense mechanism.
Yep.
Of, I'm going to try to rationalize my writing style, or rationalize why I did this way and told the story this way. And then they spend a lot of time explaining all the stuff about the words that are on the page. Mm-hmm. Not, well, there's additional context that if I give you this additional context, does that help you understand?
Yeah.
I'm like, that's the approach when we had the hot seat that I was trying to take with there's a few questions that came up where I'm like, okay, let me give you this other context. Does that make this make sense? If you have this context and now you read that, do you still have the questions? If you do, I need to make this better. But if you have this other context and now you're like, oh, no, now, yeah, that makes, if that were written right here, I would have no problem with this section. Then I'm like, okay, good.
Yeah.
That's what I like. Does this section have problems? Not do you understand all of my story?
Yes, exactly.
But we fall into from a receiving feedback and getting critiques frequently. And I've probably been guilty of doing it as well.
I know I have a couple times, and I'll like slap myself on the hand, and be like, "No, don't do it."
Like, no, bad author. You know, where literally somebody will say, well, I didn't like this and this about how Tawara did that. Well, I wrote it that way because I wanted them to blah, 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 whatever.
Yeah.
Like if I start doing that, I'm being a bad critique receiver.
Yeah.
It's fine to say, well, my intention of writing it that way was for this. Is that what you got from it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've done that before. I've tried to start changing because I find myself rationalizing sometimes too. And I'll be like, well, I wrote it because of this. And instead, I kind of try to change it, be like, okay, so what I was trying to do with that is this. Does that work? And if not, do you have any suggestions on how to make that come across on the page?
Yeah.
And that has been really helpful. But yeah, it's really hard when you see stuff not to be defensive and rationalize things away. That's why whenever we do the hot seats and stuff, I always tell everybody, if you're on the critique, you cannot speak unless somebody asks you a question.
Yeah.
Because I don't want that argumentative atmosphere. It's just like, okay, just receive it. Now, if they need a clarifying question, or if you have a clarifying question, if they say something like, say, I don't like this character.
Yeah.
And you'd be like, okay, why? Like, yeah, obviously. But then if they say why they don't like the character, don't then go back and tell them, well, but they have this, this, and this to counteract what you don't like, so it'll be fine in the end. Be like,
Yeah.
it's okay. Just let it go.
Yeah. But that's also a point that comes up from like hot seat and critique perspectives is, that was a pretty big eye opener for me in that last hot seat where we gave a chapter and I'm like, there's a lot of stuff in that chapter that refers to things from a whole other book that nobody else there except you has even read.
Yes.
And then references to stuff that are pre-chapters leading up, that some of that we've already discussed with you. And I'm like, but anybody in this room reading, like, they don't know any of these names, any of the definitions. They don't know the history or anything. And I'm like, well, that was a failure on our part. When I sent that out, I should have said,
quick summary of this is what came before.
Yeah. And granted, it needed to be quick, but it ended up, we spent 20 minutes.
Yeah, trying to explain everything.
Yeah, trying to explain because people, well, if that happens, well, what about this? Yeah, that happens over here. Well, then what about that? Yep.
Yeah,
So,
it kind of almost
let me
became a
bring you-
brainstorming session where like,
Yeah.
well, what about this? What about that?
Yeah. Yeah, because I'm a,
And that comes into the other side of it as a critiquer. If you're getting something that is embedded in lore, this chapter is book 3 of a series.
Mm-hmm.
If you're doing it like that, okay, I'm not going to understand everything in here.
Yeah.
Let's try to get past what is obvious. I mean, because a lot of it to me seemed like this was obviously explained somewhere else. And I just don't have that context.
Yeah.
So read what I've got. And then there can still be things where you're like, okay, I'm going to need context for this.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of it, you don't need the context if you're just critiquing for that, what you've got.
Yeah, the story arc of that specific chapter.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that makes sense. And it's like whenever I have those that just kind of come out of the blue, like I try to, like if something really confuses me, I'll point it out and be like, I have no idea what this is. But it's under the impression that like if I give it back to you and you're like, well, it's explained already earlier, then you can disregard that comment. But if it's not, then you can know, okay, maybe I need to check and make sure it was explained earlier or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, you don't really have to dwell on it if you know it's in the middle of a book, and you just kind of have to wing it from there.
Yeah.
It's
But-
very much if we went over here and from my DVD shelf, we're
Mhm.
like, all right, we're gonna pull out the movie. Like, we're gonna grab something. We pull out the movie The Kid with
Yeah.
Bruce Willis.
That's it.
We stick it in, and we just all close our eyes and be like, skip, 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 and be like, and stop, and then we just watch a scene.
That scene. Yeah.
And then we're like, okay, how was this? How was that scene? And if we'd
Mhm.
never seen the movie The Kid, like, well, I don't have context. I don't know what any of this is about. We're like, well, I'm not asking you about context. I'm not asking you, like, this scene. What did you get from this scene?
Mm-hmm.
How did it come across to you? It's really, I know that's a difficult thing to do, but from
Yeah.
both a critiquer and someone being critiqued, being able to disassociate that and say, okay, assuming I had all of the pertinent information that defined all the terms and everything in here,
Mm-hmm.
if I just read this, how does it read standalone? You know, if I had a
Yeah.
15-second TikTok video that was a piece of something else, is the video funny? Do I know anything about what this is? You know,
Yeah.
nope, not at all. But was this section, it's supposed to be part of a comedy, was this funny?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it was hilarious. What was it about? No, you know, what was the context of the story? I have no idea. But this little clip, the two guys fighting and one of them slaps the other one in the face and the other one gets all offended, that was really funny.
Yeah.
The way it came across.
Yeah. And that's really hard to disassociate from, like, I need everything so that I can talk about this one part, to, okay, I can just let everything go and just focus on this part. So that is hard for a lot of people to do. And when you can find someone who can, it's really nice.
Yeah, because it was a challenge to be like, well, in the prequels that we're going to write that take place 15,000 years ago, this event happened,
Yeah.
and it leads up to this scenario.
Yeah.
Oh, well, do we know about that? You get a brief description of it.
Yeah.
Like, you just get a very brief description, but most of it going into this setting, these Bachari creatures, like, you kind of know what they are,
Mm-hmm.
and that's it. That's all you get.
Yeah. And
You know?
yeah, and that's why, like, sometimes giving a little summary at the beginning, but like you said, you can't go into everything,
Yeah.
but just a little, like, hey, we're going here, we're doing this person just did this, they were just told this, now you're at the scene.
Yeah.
Like, you know. So, but yeah, I can understand that's kind of difficult to do.
It's kind of like that T-shirt. It says some people can extrapolate from incomplete data.
Yes.
Yes. I love it. Okay, so let's talk about readers. So anyone listening or watching that isn't a writer, I want them to still kind of pull something out of this besides just the weird musings of writers.
Yes.
So beta readers. These are people that they're not writers. They're just people who love to read, that we ask to read our books, give us feedback on the whole thing once we think we kind of got it at a good spot. I've had this conversation with you guys before, but it's often hard to find good beta readers because they don't understand story structure, character arcs, anything like that. So the feedback they give back is very vague, and it's often like, I loved this, or I didn't like this.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it. So one thing that they really need to know if you want to be a beta reader is to give the why.
Yes.
Like we were talking about, like, okay, I really hate this character. Great. Why? Is it because he's an evil villain that, like, kills people? Perfect. That's why I wanted you to hate him. Do you hate him because he's boring? Okay, then maybe that's not great and I need to fix that.
Yeah.
So you always want to tell the why. But, like, what other things would you guys want from your beta readers, like, feedback wise, that's not specifically writing craft oriented?
Yeah. Well, I think the first thing is we have one reader who has read with us, Susie Brindle. We We've mentioned her a couple of
Yes.
times. We need more Susie Brindles
Yes.
that are just like, they read it and they're like, I am now a diehard fan off the bat. We're like,
Yes.
yes, Susie, you're awesome. So that is really nice. That's real,
Support
very,
and encouragement.
yes, very supportive. We love getting feedback from Susie from a positive encouragement perspective.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing, we do have some family and friends that have read for us that have come back with specific information. We've had to kind of ask a couple follow-up questions. So Jared's brother, there was a couple portions of book 1, the original that we put out, that he was like, well, I started getting lost in this section because like it just felt like it kept going longer than it needed to. And he's like, the description was good. The immersion in the world was good, but I don't need to be that immersed. And you just kept going in this portion. It felt like it was going too long. He's like, I almost, even though I'm reading for you, I almost put it down and didn't keep reading. But then I was like, well, it's my brother and my adoptive brother.
Yeah.
So I kept reading and I'm glad I kept reading and I finished it. He's like, but like that part, if you were just an author and I picked up your book and read, when I got to that point, I would have been like, okay, I'm not going to keep reading this.
Yeah.
I'm like, that was really good feedback. And we actually did some pretty heavy changes and broke up and added, broke chapters up and split things out.
Yeah.
So we're like, that's very specific information.
Yeah. It's always good to know when you can't put the book down and when you did put the book down.
Yeah.
Because that helps us know like how we're doing on our pacing. Like if there's this section where it's just like, oh my goodness, I just read these 20 chapters so fast because I couldn't put the book down. Like that's great. We want to know that. But then if there's like these 5 chapters where it took me 2 weeks to get through because I had to keep telling myself I had to read it, like we obviously want to know that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's pacing. We want to make sure we have that right. So
Yeah. I think, so book 1, there's a friend of mine who read book 1 and she's like, okay, my husband's going to be gone. Family's going to be out of town for 2 weeks. They have like hunting and things that they do every year. And that's my time that's my me time.
yeah.
And I catch up on reading. It's like, I love to read. I catch up on reading in that time. It's like, but I usually don't read. I'm not a fantasy reader, but I want to read your book. So I'm like, okay,
Okay.
great. So got her a copy. So then she came back and is like, when is book 2 coming out? And I'm like, well, we're hoping by this time, but we're working on it. And she's like, okay, well, you got to get it out quick because like, I don't want to have to go back and reread everything. And I'm like, oh, so you read book 1? And she's like, yep. As soon as I opened it, I just read it and I read the whole thing all the way through.
Oh, wow.
And she's like, and I'm not a fantasy reader. And I'm like, that's some really good pats on the back.
Yes, that is.
Great. Like, but like feedback, anything. She's like, I just, you got to get that next part out to me so I can read it.
Yeah.
I'm like, horrible feedback.
Like, love the encouragement. Need the feedback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that she read some other, I'm like, did you read it because you felt obligated and you're just a really fast reader? Like, but the words that you're saying to me are like, no, you're ready for the next installment.
Yes.
You're not a fan. Like, she's like, I don't read fantasy at all, but she just devoured our book.
Yeah.
And I'm like, maybe you've been a fantasy reader this whole time and you just didn't know it.
Yeah.
But
We're getting you started.
Yeah. So, the first one's free.
Yeah. There you go. That's great. What about you, Jared? Anything that you look for from beta readers?
Nothing. No, I don't know if I have anything to add. It's getting beta readers. That's what we need to know how to do.
Yeah.
How to get beta readers.
That you don't have to pay for.
Yes.
Because supposedly there's lists of paid beta readers, but I just like
Everything I've read about paid beta readers is like that can be a bad idea.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What have you read?
just
I haven't really looked into it, so.
yeah, just like some of it is like there's a lot of scams out there.
Oh, yeah.
That anybody that's part of a paid beta reader group, they're typically like they're not in it to actually help you improve your writing.
Oh, they just want an early release copy or something.
Yeah, they want like early release stuff. The feedback that and I'm like, I can't say that this is definitively true. This is just from what I've seen being part of like some writer groups on X and on Instagram and stuff like that, where people say, okay, here's what I've discovered.
Yeah.
It's kind of like doing the pay for publishing type stuff.
Yeah.
I can't say that that's the case, but it seems to be a common thread that I've picked up on, at least in the circles that I've interacted with.
Yeah, maybe indie wise you can't find. I know publishing houses have their own list of beta readers, but again, that's a publishing house and not trying to find some random person on the internet. So
Yeah.
I could see where there'd be a lot more scams of you trying to find them yourself.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't have a solution for finding them. It's kind of hard. It's like finding readers to buy your book. It's like they're out there. You don't know how to get to them. So
Yeah.
but yeah, so one of the things, the major thing I think that I try to get from beta readers is their emotional responses.
Yeah.
That really helps me if I can know, like when they're so mad they want to throw the book against the wall, or when they're yelling at the protagonist, don't go down that street, or they're super happy and giddy because the couple finally got together or whatever. Like seeing those moments helps me a lot because I know I'm writing the emotional poles right.
Yeah.
And then if I'm not, I can change that. If they're feeling like an emotion one way and it's supposed to be the other, it's like, okay, wait, what did I do wrong? And that's something that you don't usually get from writers. They're always looking analytically. They don't think of how am I responding to the story as a person.
Yeah.
So I always say, like, being a beta reader, you have to be aware of yourself. Like, you have to, while you're reading the story, like, do you notice when you start like hunching over and tensing your shoulders because you're so into the book? Like it's a tense situation in the story and you're tense as well.
Yeah.
Like we want to know that because like, okay, we got you hooked on that kind of thing or whatever. So that's what I always say for beta readers. Like it's very hard to be self-aware, especially when you lose yourself in a story. But it's hard to do to show those emotional moments. So when I try to give feedback, I always try to give a little bit of that too. Like I'll put LOL, like if something makes me laugh out loud, like, hey, you hit that punchline well, good job kind of thing. So it's nice to have those. And that's really what I look for from readers because they aren't studying the structure, the character arcs. Like they can't tell you what that is. I mean, if they don't like something, they can tell you why and vice versa. And you can deduce from that, okay, what do I need to fix accordingly?
Yeah.
But it's really the emotional reactions that I think is really valuable in them and
like
very hard to find.
I like to call it, we want to punch them right in the feels.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Like if you cry, I want to know, like, tell me if you seriously cry because that's a very hard feat to do with words.
Yeah.
So like, yeah. So it's just these things where you're like, please tell me like when you're feeling something.
Yeah. We got some of that in book one with some specific scenes with like the prologue when Dorinda gets killed.
Yes. Yeah.
We
like,
got the
right off the bat, we're gonna
Yeah.
stab you in the heart.
Yeah. And then the same thing when a couple people when the Trekkan youths were killed. Mm-hmm. Where a couple people were like, I almost didn't keep reading.
Yeah, I was one of
so
those.
mad.
I was ready to throw the book. I was like, this is not okay.
And then from an emotional perspective, we got some connections. Like some people were like, you know what? Some people were like, well, I thought it was sad when the youths died. I felt more loss after Duchesne was killed. The sword.
Yes.
They're like that part really hit me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, for some reason, everything, it's all death, everything I keep bringing up.
Every time you kill someone.
Yeah.
When Tamara says goodbye to Ethondra, somebody told me that got him.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, that was an emotional moment.
Yeah. So if we can get those, there's even when some people read like the fight scene with Alandar, you know, and feeling like he's getting cut and the tension and everything, and then like killing the guys that are with him, that just stone cold, you know, we got some like, oh yeah, I had to see how the fight was going to turn out. And like, even though I'm like, oh, okay, he's going to win, but what's going to happen?
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
I'm like, those kind of things are good to, it feels good when people are like, yeah, I had to see what was going to happen.
Yes. Yeah. And that's great to know. And if like you get feedback and nobody mentioned that fight was tense or anything, like if nobody commented on it, then it would be like, okay, I didn't hit the tension good enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's good to know that. So, yes. Well, very good. That's pretty much the questions I had. If anybody listening wants kind of more on this topic, I do have some posts on my website, lizverity.com, that has some things, but specifically there's one where I put together 20 questions for beta readers. They're the ones that I kind of use for mine that I found worked really well. It helped me diagnose what was wrong in my first book I wrote and how to fix it. So I don't know if it'll be helpful for others, or maybe jog your memory on things that you want to do if you want to give questions to beta readers to fill out afterwards. But if you're interested, you could look that up.
Yeah. Yeah. Very good.
All right.
Because that, anything like that from a writer perspective, you're providing your expectations.
Yes. So they know.
Doing beta reading, critiquing. If you're asking for someone's input, tell them what you want.
Yes. Yeah. They need to know expectations. Otherwise, yeah, you can come into it and they can give you the wrong thing and you both walk away with nothing more than you had when you came through.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, very good. Very good discussion today on feedback.
Yeah. It was fun.
Experience. You know, none of us are super experts at
yeah, no, and
at any of this.
That's why I wanted to talk about this, because this is just writers and how we deal with it, and everybody's is different. So hopefully if someone's out there and a writer and kind of scared on how to give or how to receive feedback, maybe it'll help guide them.
Yeah. The biggest two things: critique the story, not the person.
Yes.
And what, positive or negative, give the why.
Yes.
And then if they ask for specifics, give the specifics. Don't meander down paths of I'm gonna go through and remove all your Oxford commas because I don't like them, or I'm gonna put in Oxford commas because I think they should be there. Don't do that unless they ask for it.
Yeah, and that's the thing, you got to be clear. It's like, I want content, or do you want grammar?
Yeah.
So
yeah, good discussion. Good. Hopefully, this discussion helps somebody and wasn't just like, these are the ravings of lunatics.
Nothing else. Hopefully, we were entertaining.
Yeah. So if you are interested in being a beta reader,
yeah, reach out to these guys. They got some books coming up.
Yes, we need readers. We need people. We have a group that we have on Facebook that we had 65 people sign up to be beta readers.
Really?
And we got 14.
Okay, and of the 14, how many gave feedback other than that was good or I didn't like it?
The 14 that read, I think we got about 10. We got about 10.
Okay.
Like, I don't know what the ratio is, but that's what
that's
our
fairly good. I mean, that's more than I figured. I figured you'd get 4 that actually had something helpful. So that's
well, there's a few of them that are siblings, his and my siblings. They kind of
family doesn't count.
But they are siblings that siblings that will be brutally honest.
Yeah, I found it's one of two ways. So. You either have family that is all nice and won't tell you the truth, and family that will only tell you the truth.
Yeah.
I have the latter, so I'm not too worried about
yeah, but they were very good at saying, like, the few that gave us the direct feedback at saying, I really liked this part. Mm-hmm. This part is garbage. Like, almost in those words.
Oh, no.
There were a couple that were like, okay, I'm going to do like an actual critique and, tell you what I think is wrong and what needs to be fixed. But
Yeah.
we do have a couple that were like, this was really good. You should throw this in the garbage bin. You know?
Well,
Like, well, thanks for that information.
perfect.
Yeah.
Now, why?
Yeah, they did give us
Okay,
the
well,
why,
that's good.
and we'd
That's
be
good.
like, okay, well, how about we change it? Okay, yeah, you could probably do that. Like, okay, thanks. Son of a-
That's great.
So there, yeah, we did get even from some siblings some
Yeah.
definitive feedback.
Well,
that,
that's
that
good.
helped. So
Yeah.
it was good. It was good. But if you want to be a beta reader, reach out. And again, where can people go to find you?
LizVerity.com, and you can sign up for my newsletter or just browse the website. Or if you don't want to do any of that, you can just email me, ask me a question, and I will refer you to posts if I have them, or figure out an answer if I don't.
Okay. Well, thanks for being here today. Thanks for the discussion and
Yeah.
picking our brains and
It was fun being the one asking the questions this time.
yeah. Instead of almost sending us down the rabbit hole where we're like, we're going to offend so many people.
No, no, no. None of this was to be offensive. We do this out of love, remember?
Yes. Yes. Well, thanks for coming along with us today. We appreciate you being here. Appreciate you going along for the ride. We will see you again next time. Till then, go in good spirits. Thanks for listening to the Creators Guild podcast. Don't forget to get your copy of A Flight from Shadows, available on Amazon. While you're there, please rate it and give it a review. If you like the Creators Guild, please like and subscribe, and make sure to share it with your friends. Until next time, go in good spirits.